it is unfathomable to contemplate what your life looks like outside, what your outside community looks like today, and with a war overtone, and the people that look exactly like your beautiful children. It is unthinkable, and to think about what goes on there daily, and then you come back and you wind up in Orange County or in Virginia or where have you, and everything's peaceful and nice.
Hi everybody, David Donaldson here with Joe Martin. Thanks for listening to this edition of Entrepreneurial Impact with Tom Hale. This is episode 2. We learn about Tom's trip into the Ukraine and his experiences of traveling overseas during these tough times.
You did something this past year which I was incredibly moved by, and I just think it's ultimately amazing. We all know about what's going on over in the Ukraine, and I saw that you went over there. Like, how did that come about? Like, you said you knew people over, so I guess, okay, there's a relationship there, but you just kind of made something happen and you went over there. What was that experience like?
I was headed over in March for the World Ice Swimming Championships in Northern Russia. And naturally that got thwarted with the war. I was communicating with some competitive friends in St. Petersburg and such, and knowing that their sons are the ones being recruited for this effort, listening to the differentiation between what they understood was going on and what I was seeing going on the other side. My Ukrainian friends I wasn't able to communicate with, wasn't able to get in touch with them. They had a lot going on at the moment. And so I packed up and headed to London, and then took a flight to Warsaw, Poland, where I met up with these incredible young people. I didn't know them, had no. We just went to the train station, met up with the people that were helping the refugees. I found myself to a church in Krakow, which is just north, about 2 hours by train, and wound up staying there, working with a group of refugees. Beautiful, my gosh, and their children and these facilitators were just magnificent. Worked with them for about a week, and then wound up getting a request to go and deliver humanitarian aid in country inside Ukraine by taking items over in an ambulance. And so we packed. I took the train down, met this young man, and we loaded his ambulance up from the airport with individuals that were coming off the plane, bringing hard goods and supplies for these individuals. I loaded them up in the back of an ambulance to the point where it was dragging, and made a 6 to 8 hour trip into Ukraine. Snuck across the border with them, which is quite funny because I have a Russian passport, a Chinese passport, Russian Chinese visa, as well as my U.S. visa. And Poland stopped me and asked me what the hell was going on. Ukraine was less than impressed to see a Chinese visa and a Russian visa, and I'm going into Ukraine with an ambulance full of contraband. By contraband, I mean boots, drones, medical supplies.
Yeah.
Okay, and we were held at secondary for several hours. They finally let us out. Traveled into Lviv, stayed in a refugee camp there with, my gosh, some of those beautiful people, full of women and young children and some older individuals. Just made sandwiches for them, did whatever I could. Initially wound up delivering goods to the soldiers just outside of Kyiv, and met a lot of these young people heading off to what was then Mariupol and the Donbass region, which you've seen what's happened since. Young man gave me this cartridge, as a matter of fact, that he used in Irpin. And actually a good friend of his gave it to me. And I asked him just to get back in touch with me when he comes back. I hope he does. But it was probably, David, one of the most heartbreaking things in my life to see that happen. It is unfathomable to contemplate what your life looks like outside, what your outside community looks like today, and with a war overtone, and the people that look exactly like your beautiful children. It is unthinkable, and to think about what goes on there daily, and then you come back and you wind up in Orange County or in Virginia or where have you, and everything's peaceful and nice. The whole world's going on around us. It's amazing. I had the benefit of going to the Pentagon, visiting the Pentagon right after I got back, and which was an experience in itself. It's been an amazing few months on that side, but it's very real what's going on over there. It's very cruel. The people are very, very strong. I think they left the wrong people, and when they kicked the men out, they left the men and kicked the women and children out. They should have left the women in and sent the men out. Those women are tough. But it's a very sad scenario. 100%. Wound up in Krakow again afterwards, and then down in the square there working with the refugees. Very touching, brilliantly beautiful, but impactful.
Wow. I just thank you for sharing. Like, I think that's one of those things that in the moment we were abreast of what's going on, and I think unfortunately with time we do tend to forget a little bit of what's actually still happening over there.
Yeah, it's easy to do. I mean, you don't have, but it is. It's something that if you could experience or see part of, it is something you actually need to see. It changes your perspective. Even as horrific as our politics are today, I came back with an innate privilege to be an American. Being an American is a humongous gift, magnificent gift. The border stops and the security stops on the way into Lviv and then up into Kyiv are marred with these World War II-esque style sandbags, machine guns, and barbed wire and those tank things that are like cross, right? Like look like jacks all over. And when they saw the passport, the thing they said most common was "Go USA." They believe in us. They believe in us and ideal us, right? And then to think of what we have going on here in our country, it's kind of on the other spectrum. But to say that, that made me very, very proud to be an American person. To be an American, it made me happy and grateful. It made me disappointed at we're being challenged with right now and why and how. But we as a country, pal, no comparison. We've got our challenges, but we are so bloody blessed beyond belief. Blessed. It's interesting. There's a flag that the Ukrainians have, and they have their traditional country flags, which is the green and the blue and the yellow, right? Okay. There's a red and a black one. Have you seen that? There's a red and black flag. It's like the blood of Ukraine, the blood of the Ukrainians in the soil. And it's the equivalent of, my interpretation is the equivalent of like a Confederate flag.
Okay.
It represents a different time in Ukraine's history. Maybe some darker, more sensitive subjects, right?
All right.
Mostly around Second World War and the Nazis and that sort of thing. But you see those flags flying, and they are controversial. I didn't know that until I was over there and wanted to get one. I found out kind of a bit more about it. But okay. What it draws me to say, they have the same challenges that we have in this country. It just does metaphorically with the Confederate flag and with the U.S. flag. It draws controversy, but they have it there too.
Interesting.
I had refugees sign a flag. Here, hold on a second, I'll show you. you want to see it?
Sure.
So this flag, this is a Ukrainian flag. Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
The entire flag is filled with statements and comments from these Ukrainian men and women. Okay, and they could write whatever they wanted to on there. And I took it back here. I took it to our yacht club, and what I'm looking to do, reached out to the yacht club in Odessa, Ukraine, and became a sister club with Odessa in our club here. And the reason I did that is because if you, David, if your club and my club have a sister relationship, you're no longer just a stranger. Odessa's a long way away, but it's a beautiful place, like Newport Beach is, right? And now the clubs can support one another, and they have a contact. There has to be some bridge. And I didn't want to do something to where these people were donating monies into a vacuum. I wanted them to hit directly, something they could see and develop a relationship with their self without getting involved in the financial aspect of it. If that makes sense. I didn't want to be responsible for a dollar.
You're not setting up a GoFundMe. You're establishing a relationship.
Right, but because if I go GoFundMe and that guy goes out and does something ridiculous, I'm now part of it. And I didn't want that. I wanted what's good for them and good for the individual that wanted to donate. So you link them up. You guys talk among yourselves and do your thing. I don't have any skin in that game. Like we said before, this is what's good for you, what's good for them.
Yeah.
Let's go. That was good. I have a good friend who is in the government that helped me out with some of the tracking and things that I was able to do to make sure that I knew where I was going. It was going to be relatively safe in a given moment. But certainly met a lot of people, saw a lot of things I'll never forget. I'd encourage anybody that's interested to get involved, either here in the States or overseas. I don't necessarily recommend going over and getting involved in the.
Like I said, I mean, you painted a pretty good picture, but I'm sure it was very raw and stressful and scary at the same time. Right.
On the way out, I got turned away at the border. Our ambulance had a busted windshield. And so I got out. I have another stamp being put back into Ukraine. I left and had to turn around and go right back in. I went out on an Apple truck, hopped on the back of an Apple truck, and rode in the back of an Apple truck across into Poland. Then got out and took the train to Krakow. So yeah, it's weird. I didn't know how I was going to get back across the border.
So much for having an exit strategy, right?
Here I am. I'm going to be in Ukraine for a while, it looks like, right? But I don't speak the language. I don't know where I am. So, but it was interesting. And, I met a lot of really beautiful, beautiful people from around the world. I met a lot of really amazing Ukrainians. I've met some Italian friends and so even some friends here in California. But again, it's magnificent. And it's just get involved. Get involved.
Just get involved. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, I can't thank you enough for joining me and sharing with us that story. And as I joked at the beginning, my origin story of how a lot of things came to fruition for me. But I'm really glad that we reestablished and reconnected. And I look forward to staying in touch with you. And you mentioned about coming to DC. I think you said you were coming this month. So, maybe August or September, we can connect face to face. And I would really cherish the ability to do that again. And thank you for sharing your time and speaking with our audience here on Entrepreneurial Impact.
Just most importantly, don't discount what your mission is. Don't discount your ability to do it. And just keep going. Keep going. Keep driving. Look at your financials to make sure you can get there, because just belief that you're going to get there isn't always if you're going broke in the process, right? But please just don't give up on what you're working for. Stay competent, stay true, but enjoy yourself. The magic to me is in the relationship, I guess is what I would say. Dave, something that's cool, that's made an enormous impact in my life, since you mentioned it. I've been doing this since I was 18 years old. And at 18, because I had to register for the draft, which scared the hell out of me when I was 18. But what I did was I wrote down, my birthday happens to be on the 17th of a month, right? And on the 16th is my last day So what I did was I put down all the things that I could remember that were important to me that year at that time. Okay. Things that went well and the things that didn't. The stuff that, happened to me because I'm a victim, or the stuff that happened to me because it was intentional. And I put it down and I gave myself a symbol for the next year. Okay. Be it a B, because they're engineering, from an engineering perspective, they shouldn't be able to fly. Okay. Or an ant, right? Because they shouldn't be able to carry or do what they do, yet they do it anyway. Right. Or fire or water or wind, or whatever the heck your symbol is. Okay. Symbol. And I pick out things that I want to do this year. Don't know how. I have no idea how. I don't give it that doesn't make any sense. What do you want to do? I want to skydive. I want to scuba dive. I want to earn X dollars. I want to be this. I want to try that. I want to meet this. I want to do that. I looked back. I even wanted a child at one point the year before we found out we were pregnant. I had no idea. But I said, what is it that I want to do? And I wrote it down without reservation, on my own, not sharing it with somebody else, not mine. Okay. I did it prior to midnight. And at midnight, you say a little prayer, say thank you for the things that happened, and just pray forward that the things are beneficial. Okay. And then I just kind of work on it. Little bits here and there, but you'd be surprised what you can accomplish. Really surprised. My birthday is the beginning and end of my year. Personally, professionally.
Okay.
New Year's means nothing to me.
Okay.
My New Year is the 16th, and 17th, it's engaged. Okay. I'm accountable to one person for it. Me. I have journals going back to where I was 18, starting the bank, open water swimming, surfing, sailing, sail racing, which I just did last year. I sailed Newport to Ensenada. As soon as I got back from Ukraine, 2 days later, I was on a boat from Newport to Ensenada, sailing in a race that I had no business sailing in. We got second. Okay. Just because a storm happened, it was a huge storm, and everybody stopped in the middle of the night. I just kept going. But I mean, it's amazing what you can do if you just give yourself the credit to get it started. And don't try to figure out all the time everything that has to come together for you to do it. It may happen in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, but you're on your way. Do you understand?
I do. And
I try to decide not to do it. I don't want it anymore, but you've still got something started within you to get there. And that's important. And if you do that, I can show you my book. I look back at it and I can see the history.
So you still have it. You guys still have a journal that you still have.
Yes, I have them. But it tells me where I was, the mindset. And I look at something like, oh my gosh, that was so devastating. This didn't happen. Then you look and say, because that didn't happen, this happened. Right? Or because that happened, this happened. Good or bad. Right? And it's mine. I know if I did it. I know if I'm doing it or not doing it. I would say if there's one thing to say is get clear about what you want to do. And I want to work harder. Smarter, not harder. Not that. I want to earn $100,000 a month passively. I want to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to talk to X. I'm going to make a difference with Y. I'm going to be a person who is not negative. I'm going to be somebody who is approachable and I don't demean people. I want to be all those things. You just work on you. You've noticed, like, if you picked out a favorite car, like the new Bronco, which I ordered and it may get here between now and 2099. But but all of a sudden you see them everywhere, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens, I think, with us when we set these goals and things we want to do. It's amazing. But that's all I got. So
that's what it is. All right, Tom.
I appreciate your time and just my very, very best to you and your family. And I'm really proud of you, buddy. Really, you're amazing.
Goes back and forth. Thank you very much.